How the hell did Stan Lee let this happen? Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with a brand new epic rant. This epic rant is going to be for a Marvel film I just watched yesterday for the first time, because I had avoided this one for years, and it turned out I should have stayed avoiding this one. This is one you have all warned me about. One you have said, prepare for the worst of the worst. And that is none other than the unholy, god-awful FAN4STIC. Oh, no, I mean FAN4STIC. Or Fantastic Four 2015. Really? This should be called FAN4STIC, not FAN4STIC or Fantastic Four. Because we're going to get to why. Well, that's the plot as well, much like the origin. Fantastic Four, a contemporary reimagining of Marvel's original and longest-running superhero team, centers on four hip and cool young outsiders who teleport to an alternate dangerous universe because they think they're so badass and want to do it because they think they're better than everybody else, which alerts their physical form in shocking ways. Their lives irrevocably dependent, the team must learn to harness their daunting new abilities and work together to save Earth from a former friend turned enemy. So how was this made? Well, in August 2009, after Fox shut down the third Fantastic Four film we should have gotten, Fox announced they would reboot the Fantastic Four film franchise. Akiva Goldsman was hired as producer, and Michael Green to write the screenplay. And at the time, actors Andrea Brody and Jonathan Rhys Meyers were considered for the role of Mr. Fantastic, and Kiefer Sutherland for the role of the Thing. In July 2012, Josh Trank was hired to direct, and Jeremy Slaughter as screenwriter. While Trank was being considered as director, X-Men First Class writers Zack Stennett and Ashley Edward Miller were assigned to work on the script. After Trank officially signed on, he decided to write his own script instead. Slaughter's original script featured the villains Galactus and Doctor Doom, with Doom depicted as a spy becomes a herald of Galactus, and eventually the dictator Latveria. It's not a bad idea there. Trank and Slaughter's ideas for the movie were tonally opposite, with Slaughter revealing that he viewed 2012's The Avengers as a template, while Trank just fucking hated every second of it. Trank admitted he found himself unable to identify with Slaughter's more comic book-centered tone. Trank left Slaughter out of discussions with Fox Studios and withheld certain studio notes. Slaughter added that he never saw 95% of those notes and left after 6 months. Then in February 2013, Matthew Vaughn was attached to produce, and Seth Grahame-Smith was hired to polish the script. Then in October 2013, Simon Kinberg was hired as co-writer as producer. In April 2014, the Calvary FX was hired for the film's pre-visualization. According to Mark Miller, Fox's consultant for their Marvel Comics-based films, the film would take place in the same universe as the X-Men film series. Really? Yeah, I cashed on Marvel there. Although Kinberg contradicted this statement, Bryan Singer confirmed talks of a potential crossover among Fox, which never happened. Trank has said this film is heavily influenced by David Cronenberg. In 1981's Scanner's 1906 A Fly introduced the look of the film, and its overall told would feel like a cross between Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. And we all know how that went. Because FAN4STIC premiered at Williamsburg Cinemas in New York City on August 4, 2015, after it was filmed and completed and advertised, and then released into theaters on August 7th, 2015 in the United States. And how was this movie received? Well, it was fucking hated. Everyone was like, on it. Yeah, critics and fans had criticism aimed towards the dark tone, something that does not belong in a Fantastic Four movie, because Fantastic Four is supposed to kind of be a lighthearted series, because it's a lighthearted comic book series, not a dark horror movie. It's the CGI quality and the writing. Many even accused the film as an attempt by Fox to retain the Fantastic Four film rights compared to Roger Corman's unreleased 1994 film. At the box office, also, it grossed only $168 million worldwide, against a budget of $155 million. Ooh, not good. And it lost over $80 million and became a box office bomb. Thank God. And it received negative reviews, and is considered to be one of the worst films ever made. Whereas Lukimus Prime, and according to Lukimus Prime, this is the worst movie he's ever seen. And I can see why. Because even this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but we'll get to that in a bit. It even won so many awards at the Razzies, like Worst Director and Worst Picture. Trank even hated the movie because it was all studio interfered, so it basically had the Alien 3 treatment. So maybe Trank's thing would have been slightly better, but it's probably still would have been crap either way. Maybe it would be, but maybe Trank's version of it would have been slightly less bad. So, I never saw this film when it first came out, because everybody hated this movie so much, I wanted to avoid it. And after having heard Lukimus Prime once again say this is the worst film ever made, I dodged the bullets by not doing so, especially after seeing the reviews. Like, come on guys, face it, when I saw the poster and saw the thing's new horrible design, the poster made me, when I saw the poster, I was like, I never even saw the trailers, but I did see the poster, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be fucking bullshit. Just because their designs on the poster were horrible. And when it was released, it apparently turned out to be exactly that. Bullshit. Upon release. However, I finally watched the movie, and how is it? Yep, once again, third time saying this. Bullshit. Like, this clip from Rambo Rap for Life alone is exactly what I think about FAN4STIC.
Fuck you, you piece of shit! You motherfucker! You piece of shit! Kiss my ass! Suck my dick! You motherfucking cocksucker! You piece of shit!
Yeah, this movie is pure bullshit at best. Everyone was right about it. You know when they say that something doesn't make you angry, but disappointed instead? I never really got that properly until I saw this film. Fox owned the rights of Fantastic Four at the time of this, but the caveat apparently is that they have to utilize those rights by making a film every now and then, or they revert back to Marvel, and thus we get this sad and pathetic attempt at trying to keep these famous actors out of the hands of those that would actually know what to do with them. Even though these actors aren't even properly fit for a Fantastic Four movie, the film opens up with some promise whereby we're given an insight into how our illustrious foursome ended up becoming the formidable team that we saw in the earlier films. Despite a fairly promising beginning, though, this reboot completely fails to bring about a lot of the magic that we witnessed in the 2005 version of this film and its sequel. A big problem for me lay with the tone of the film. Firstly, this movie takes itself way too seriously, and as a result, it made the film so boring to watch. Like, Fantastic Four is not supposed to be dark. Even the comics aren't dark. And why are their powers treated like a horror? Even in the comics, their powers weren't even treated like a horror. Like, they seemed a little weirded out by them, but in the comics, they adjusted to their powers as soon as they got back to Earth. Get it through your fucking head, Fox. While watching this, it felt like I was watching a science documentary, rather than what should be a fun comic book type movie. And this brings me on my next point. What fun... In the 2005 film, and the sequel, there was much more in the way of camaraderie between the cast making the film. Much more fun. That film was more fun to watch. The cast actually sounded like they were having fun. The film was actually fun to watch. Regardless of people's opinions, but the duology was actually fun. And while Von Doom may have not been well developed in the 2005 films either, he was still good. He was still accurate to his portrayal. He still looked like Dr. Doom, and he still acted like Dr. Doom. Even if his little screen time, he still acted like that. Here, he isn't particularly well developed here, and I felt his motivations for world domination were still sketchier. And plus, not to mention, they even make him such a brat in this movie. Like, Von Doom, this one, acts like this whiny, annoying 7-year-old brat trapped in an adult's body. And he's just rude to everybody the whole entire time. Like, not even the 2005 film was that rude before he became Von Doom. He actually seemed like a nice guy until he became Von Doom in the 2005 film. Here, you can tell he's gonna be evil. The cast are another big problem with this film, as they even fail to engage with me. Like, Miles Teller is so awful as Reed Richards, and so miscast, like, even more bland than Lone Gruff Fudd was in the original films. Like, Lone Gruff Fudd was perfect as Mr. Fantastic. He got the tone of Mr. Fantastic right, he got the portrayal of Mr. Fantastic right, he was pretty good as Mr. Fantastic. He really... Like, you can tell he really enjoyed this performance. Kate Mara, maybe, is also really terrible in this film. Like, I remember there were so many reshoots, and there's so many reshoots where her hair looks a little darkish, and then her hair is bright blonde. And so yeah, you can easily... Like, this film was so reshot during production, and you can really tell when you watch it. There's so many things that just show this, none of the reshots were even edited. Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm, also lame. Like, Chris Evans' Human Torch was also immature and a bit childish, but he was actually funny to watch. His Human Torch was actually entertaining, and actually had character development in his 2 movies. I liked how in the duology he got a story arc of his own in both the films. And his Human Torch actually prevents the 2 movies from being boring. So I really liked that. And even that Human Torch actually acted serious, and even he acted mature during the fights. And he only really cracked comedy stuff when he needed to do. Whenever there was a fight, he actually acted serious. Here, not only does he lack the charisma that Evans brought to the role in the original films, he also is even more immature and annoying. Like, he like drives his dad's car, smashes it into a pole, carelessly, and then his dad even picks him up in the hospital. And he seems to act like it's cool stuff. Like, they make him so careless in this film. And he looks like he doesn't even want to be around the other people of this or the other characters of this film. And then comes our final one, The Thing. Jamie Bell as The Thing is probably the worst performance in this film. He lacks the touching backstory that we witnessed in the original film, like with his wife like leaving him and stuff. You can feel that actually gives you sympathy for the character. You really feel bad for okay, how am I say this? They actually made you feel bad for Ben Grimm in The Thing 2005 film. He just wanted to reconnect with his wife, and his wife was disgusted by his appearance, and she just left him. You could feel bad for the guy in the 2005 film. He was kind of a tragic character. Here, he lacks any kind of touching moments, and he suffers from not being developed sufficiently enough to make you really care about him here. Not only that, his design sucks. Like, his design looks like he's just gonna fall to pieces at any rate. He looks too much like a knockoff of the Hulk. And, his voice even sucks too. It literally sounds like whenever Jamie Bell's Thing voice sounds like he has a cold. And didn't take cough syrup or cough medicine. Whenever he tries to act like The Thing. So yeah. That design sucks, that voice sucks, and I don't want to even get me started on his dumb that dumb scene where he headbutts Mr. Fantastic and somehow he gets knocked out because Mr. Fantastic would never let that happen to him. No way long the 2005 versions Mr. Fantastic would ever get headbutted like that. And then we have Victor Von Doom, played by Toby Kebbell, who of course is Dr. Doom and is evil for no real reason. Maybe he's angry because his name is Victor Von Doom. It's never really explained. Like, for a movie that tries to act like it's 100 minutes of an ordinance story, that's supposed to run deep with character development, we learn nothing about any of the characters at all. Other than Sue really loves to listen to her iPod, Ree can type fast on a computer, Johnny likes to race 90s rice rockets and crush them into poles, and act all careless like he committed a heroic deed. And then Grimm may or may not enjoy his new rock body, and have a crappy voice. That is literally the character's story arc. I mean, yeah, they come together, travel through their teleportation device to another dimension after one of the monkeys from Dawn of the Apes does. But that's about it. It's not until about the final 5 seconds of the film where we see some fraction of a team forming. The entire pace of the film is off too, with far too much time being spent on the origins of the Fantastic Four gaining their powers, and by the time the characters even go to fight crime, there's 20 minutes left in the film. And the finale is a humiliating rush of action cliches so predictable that you just don't even care. Like, this movie doesn't even feel like 100 minutes. This movie, like, feels like 80 minutes long. Like, when I first watched this yesterday, I got back from a doctor's checkup, then had McD's for lunch, got back home, and as soon as I popped this on, first 20 minutes, I was already like, I was already almost asleep because of how bored I was within the minute the first 20 minutes happened. Like, I was already bored. The entire second act of the story, too, in which the Four test out Reed's interdimensional transporter is triggered by the team having this whisk of alcohol and getting drunk and acting like a bunch of dumbass idiots one night and deciding that traveling to another dimension would be really cool because we're so badass and awesome. Reed even calls his best friend and basically says, "Dude, you gotta get over here because we're going to space. This is freaking awesome." They talk like a bunch of dumbass poser punks the whole movie. Like, no explanation is given for the other dimension, for how the Four gain their powers from traveling there, how the team gets back to their home dimension, or how they magically arrive back on Earth at the end of the film. Like, so yeah, the Four are basically just, in that scene, are acting like dumbass punks or dumbass teenagers who got their first credit card and want to act reckless with it. Like, these are not the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four team is supposed to be grown-ups. Not a bunch of dumbass teenagers who think they're so badass and cool and think they can do whatever they want. Or just think they can, since their project work thing goes there because they're above the law and everybody else. They act like such dumbass losers in this film that you don't even care about them. They're not fun to watch, they're just a bunch of bratty idiots that think they can do whatever they want. And you want to know what happens? Technically, them getting exposed with their powers is kind of somewhat of a good come-upance for them for being so stupid in this version. And that you're not supposed to view. When they get exposed, like, you're supposed to, like, and they wake up with their powers, you're supposed to, like, hey, that's pretty cool. We form a great team there. Here, it's kind of good karma for being so stupid and not letting other people go to their first. This is just sloppy writing that slaps you in the face and laughs at the fact that you paid $20 of your money you're never going to get back to watch this. Is there any redeeming qualities? No. There are 0 redeeming qualities in this. I can't think of a single good thing about this film. Like, this was a boring movie to watch from start to finish. It wasn't even interesting. There was no Fantastic Four action. It didn't even feel like a Fantastic Four movie. I'm glad I skipped this movie in theaters. And this movie is so poorly written and has such a god-awful plot. The old ones are way better every single way. I'd rather watch the Tim Story movies than this piece of shit ever again. Dr. Doom in this film just sucks. He looks like the NS4 from iRobot, and he even looks like C3. His mask looks like C3PO as well. So yeah, just I can go on, but just don't watch this movie. It's the worst superhero film ever made, and the worst Fantastic Four film ever made, and the worst Marvel movie ever made. And here would have to be my final recommendation of fan horseshit. So overall, if you want to have a team of heroes ruined for you, then please never ever watch this movie at all. It is an absolute piece of shit and a disgrace to the Fantastic Four. And if you are wondering how I'm going to rank fan horseshit, I am going to give fan horseshit a 0 out of 10. Well, we just covered that movie, and now we covered all 3 of the Fantastic Four movies. Even though I retired from the MCU, I just pray to God John Watts can pull off his version well. He better, or I'm not, they better do something interesting, or I'm not going to watch it, and I'm going to stick with my retirement. Unless they could come up with something interesting. But, until then, now I gotta go watch Morbius this week, and I've been hearing so many terrible stuff about that movie, so I won't be surprised if that ends up being an epic rant as well. Till then, guys, that'll be it for this rant. Thank y'all for watching, and if you'd like to want to see more, then don't forget to like and subscribe to Movie Lover 120.